What's up, guys? So we got a lot of positive feedback about that last video about if you guys wanted me to start combat medic reenacting again. And you guys said yes. So we're going to start a small series. It's going to be on the basics of combat medic reenacting, some basic first aid stuff, basic how to treat your patient, go from treatment of patients all the way to what you're carrying and how you identify as a medic. And the first video is going to be on what do you wear? What kind of helmet do you wear? What kind of ID tags do you wear in terms of armbands? And what's the most authentic thing to do? So we'll get into the video right now. All right, you guys. So the first thing we're going to talk about is armbands. Okay, guys. So the armband. The armband was worn usually on one arm, depending upon what impression or what pictures you go off of. You could also see it worn on both arms. But the Red Cross armband was something that was issued during the Geneva Convention. The Geneva Convention basically was like a big agreement saying, all right, I'm not going to shoot your medics, you're not going to shoot my medics. So medics were issued armbands in order to identify them on the battlefield as medics so people would not shoot at them. Obviously, that didn't happen all the time. Sometimes people went against the Geneva Convention, but more times than not, when you see original pictures and you read about it and you just see references and videos and everything, everybody who is a medic is usually wearing an armband. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes they're wearing two. But usually they're wearing at least one. So the armband was worn on jackets. If you were wearing just a wool shirt, it was worn on the outside of the wool shirt. But really, it's very simple. It's just a Red Cross armband on the back. It has a safety pin. You can see pictures. I'm going to try and get some reference pictures going out throughout the video. You can see the armband not worn in this fashion where it's all the way around the arm. Sometimes you see it just tacked on very simply. They just took the safety pin, tacked it on to the jacket so it was hanging loose. Obviously, this just looks a little bit neater, so this is why I have it like that. But you can do whatever you want for your impression. And the thing about the research and everything and the impression is everything is dependent on what impression you're doing. So like, let's say you're doing a very specific impression of a combat medic in a very specific unit. I recommend highly that you go and you research every single thing you can find. Even if you're just running across a bunch of infantrymen, there's always going to be a medic somewhere running around with them. And you can get some really good reference videos and pictures of what the medic in that specific unit looked like. So everything does come down to research, but if you are doing just a generic medic impression, you can do as you please. But if you want to be super duper accurate, lots and lots of research. But like I said, the armband was normally worn on the jacket, on the outside, on a wool shirt. But sometimes you see it worn inside of the net of a helmet just like this. And when we talk about helmets, we'll go into that a little bit more. But that's the basics about the armband. Armbands, when you're reenacting, you can make them. You see a lot of pictures of guys with homemade armbands, like they lost theirs got destroyed. They were pretty easily picked up. If you go back to an aid station, you found one just laying around, or you picked one off of a dead guy, you could have done that. But this one in particular, it looks a lot whiter on the camera, but it's actually a cream color with a pretty dark maroon red cross, and I actually got this one from At the Front. I like it. I think it's nice looking. This is one of the older runs of the At the Front one, but this is the newer one if you guys are interested in getting it. It wasn't that expensive, and I think it looks pretty good. But like I said, you can always make your own if you really want to. But that's the basics on armbands. So, when you're wearing the armband is not usually supposed to cover the unit patch. Obviously, I don't have a unit patch on this one, but it's supposed to fall somewhere between the unit patch and the crook of your elbow. Because if you wear it too low, when you're trying to move around and provide care for your patients, it's going to be getting in the way. It's obviously going to be constricting the movement of your arms. So, obviously, you want it to fall a little bit below the unit patch, but right above the crook of the elbow. Because as you can see, when I bend my arm, it does tug on it a little bit. So if I wanted this to be out of my way completely, I'm not even thinking about it, I'm going to pull it up maybe a little bit higher, but that's basically where it's supposed to be worn on the arm. So guys, I pulled up some reference pictures like I said I wanted to, and here's an example of what I was talking about with the guys tacking it onto the jacket instead of wearing it around, the entire arm. He just very basically tacked it on. And then there's another picture of another medic with the other example I was talking about, the homemade armband, it just looks like a white piece of fabric with maybe some paint or some kind of red substance. I'm not entirely sure. And also you can notice he is not wearing a very generic medical helmet. I don't know if you can tell, but there is a piece of white medical tape going across the top of his helmet and making a cross. We're going to talk about that when we get into helmets, but that was also something that was done. Not incredibly common, but there are pictures of it being done, and we'll talk about that in just a second. And here's another reference picture of the medical tape cross on the helmet being done. This is an excellent picture of it, you know, being portrayed during the war. But we'll start talking about helmets now. So, medical helmets, or the insignia on the helmet. You see these being done a lot. This is obviously the more common one, and we'll get into that now. But we're going to talk about the more uncommon one. So you do see medics during the war not wearing medical helmets. Why is that? I cannot tell you for sure. Sometimes they lost their helmet and they had to just grab another one. They were plentiful. They could pick them up anywhere they really wanted to. And obviously, if you're in the field and you're getting shot up every single day, you're not going to have time to go paint this on your helmet. So a lot of guys would just rock it plain helmet, however they wanted, with, you know, a chin strap or netting on the helmet and just an armband or two armbands or whatever. But this is done. So if you are new to reenacting and you don't have a medical helmet, don't go out and sprint and buy a medical helmet, because you really don't need to. Because there's enough photographic evidence of guys not wearing the insignias, the medical insignia on their helmet, that you could get away with this for as long as you want. This could be your main impression. It's all preference, and like I said, it's all the unit that you're portraying. So if the unit you're portraying primarily only had, you know, medics with naked helmets, you could do that. But don't feel like if you're just brand new to the hobby, you're like, oh my god, I want to be a medic, I gotta run out and I gotta grab exactly this, because you don't have to. You have the option of doing this and this, or you have the option of doing this, and we'll get into that right now. So here's an example of what I was just talking about with the no medical insignia. Every single medic in this picture, including the wounded guy, because as you can see, he's wearing an armband, he's got the yoke, he is a medic. They all don't have insignias on their helmets. So like I said before, don't feel the urge to run out, you know, oh, you know, I'm going to be a medic, I gotta buy a helmet that has the painting on it. If you're brand new to the hobby and you don't have the cash to spend, recommend buy a simple plain helmet and rock just an armband for a little bit until you get the money, or, you know, depending upon what impression you're really going for, you can do whatever you want with that helmet, but you know, it's not a dire need. It's not something you absolutely have to buy right off the bat. So just keep that in mind. One more thing I want to mention about the medical tape cross on the naked helmet is before you do it, before you try it, so I don't get angry comments, if you have an original helmet that you painted, or you have any kind of original helmet, more times than not, that has some of the old paint chipping off of it, if you do the cross with the medical tape and you decide, oh, I don't like it, I want to take it off, it will take off some of the paint. So please keep that in mind. If you decide to do that, please don't get mad at me, because I warned you right now. But we will definitely get into these two helmets right now. Okay, so the second option of helmet is another plain helmet, like you see, but we have an armband taped, not taped, but just kind of stuck inside of the netting. I have some great original pictures of that I'm going to show you right after this clip. But this is something that was done. It's not, like I said, it's not the most common thing, but you definitely see it done more than the naked helmet, but not as much as this. That was like the general like thing that you would do. But a lot of medics did, you know, adapt to this idea of putting the armband inside of the netting. Also, you see it worn on the outside of the netting. So if you wanted to do either of those options, that's absolutely an option. Usually when I see it done, it's not open, the armband, it's not going around the entire circumference of the helmet. It's kind of just like pinned up a little tiny bit, so it's just like this one indicator, but it was still identifying them as a medic. So Yeah, I have some really great pictures that I'll show you right now. So it's not the highest quality picture, but I know that you guys, if you have been reenacting for any amount of time, you are familiar with this picture because this guy has the GI gut, where they shoved all their belongings between, you know, the jacket and the cartridge belt, so he looks like he's like super heavy, but it's probably just a bunch of his stuff. But as you can see, he's rocking it, like I said, on the outside of the helmet. But there's also a picture that I'm going to find right now of them rocking it on the inside of the helmet netting. Well, I actually couldn't find it underneath the helmet net, but I know there are pictures of it, and I know it's been done, so yeah, it's something that you can do if you want. But when we get into helmet painting, I just wanted to show you guys this right now. I have never seen the helmet paint spill over into the brim or the bill of the helmet, as you guys can see right there. I've never seen that done before with the squares. That's super cool. But we're gonna get into helmet painting right now, so that's a nice little way to introduce you to it. So, the painted helmet. Obviously, this is incredibly generic. This looks just like classic, you know, classic GI medic painted crosses. I'll do like a little 360. I know you guys have probably seen this helmet, but do a little 360 for newer viewers. This is basically what is expected of you as a medic. More times than not, people are going to recognize that, maybe a little bit more over that, but when you're a medic, you have insignia on your helmet more times than not. There are plenty of examples of different ways that the helmet was painted. This is just one example. Usually, the very basic classic, what you are going to see is the red cross on the center, the side, and the back. Obviously, mine only has 3, but that was, you know, when I bought this helmet, that was the look I wanted. That's what I decided to go for. Also, not always do you see the red goes all the way to, what's it called? Like the edge of the circle. Sometimes it's just a red cross in the middle of a white circle, but I'm going to show you in this next clip a bunch of different examples of medic helmets, and it's always depending upon what unit you're portraying. It always depends upon what look you're going for, because sometimes there's very generic helmets that, you know, could work for any impression, and then there's some very specific helmets that you need to be like, okay, well, I'm probably going to have to buy a blank helmet if I'm portraying XYZ unit. So, as I've said multiple times throughout the video, everything always comes down to the research you do and what unit you're portraying, but you can always get away with a very generic Red Cross helmet if you really wanted to. And they rocked them naked like this without, without a net. You know, you see a lot of guys lose the net. They could have the net depending upon what operations they were at. Everything is always very specific to what time period you're portraying, what unit you're portraying, and, you know, all that good stuff. So let's go back to the computer and I'll show you some really cool reference pictures of different types of ways to paint the helmet. Alright, you guys, we're back at the computer. As you can see, with this medic, he has a giant, like, massive white circle with a red cross. You know, obviously I tried to zoom in like I was on an iPhone. I'm not. Centered in the middle of the white circle. And then we also have, what do we got? We got some, like I said, we got the 4 crosses all the way around the center. These guys have them, obviously the red is touching the white in that. Red's touching the white. So, yeah. I'm trying to find the square ones, because they did have the square ones also. This medic, he only has the white crosses, obviously. He probably has another one on the other side, but he doesn't have one in the front. It's very based upon, like, what you're going for, what your impression is. This is super cool. These guys, I know there's like I don't remember exactly what the unit is, but they had the giant squares instead of the circles on their helmets. Well, yeah, it was a mountain division. Yeah, that helps me. maybe I can search that up really quick. When you're trying to look at your phone and type, it's not always easy. Yep, here it is. Very, very classic picture if you're into medical reenacting at all. These guys got the giant squares on their helmets instead of the circles. This guy's got a circle, but obviously these guys are in the same unit. But yeah, you go on, see, this guy's got some really thick looking crosses on his helmet. Like I said, you go on the internet, you do specific research for whatever impression you're trying to portray. This is a little bloody. I hope that's okay. I mean, I'm thinking if you want to be a medic, you're not really afraid of blood. But you can see there's tons and tons of different ways to do this impression, to be a generic medic. Tons of ways to set up your gear. We'll get into that in the next video. But, yeah. Research, research, research. And I spelled division wrong, I think. Yeah, I did. It's fine. Alright, guys. We'll end the video here. Hang on. And we're ending the video. Alright, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment, rate, subscribe. I got a lot of ideas in the future about what's going to be in the bags, how to treat patients. I'm really excited for this little mini-series I'm thinking about doing. Because I know that it's something that YouTube needs, it's something that YouTube wants, and obviously a lot of you guys want it. So please comment, rate, subscribe. You have any medic friends that are interested in the hobby and, you know, they're struggling with their impressions, send them my way, because I'm hopefully going to be making a lot more medic videos in the future. And as always, thank you so much, you guys. You guys really mean a lot to me, and I'm excited to be making these videos for you. And I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.